Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Ahmad Danan bin Abu Bakar. My matrix number is AA1900659. I'm from section 7 group 1 and now I'm going to talk about case study 2 communication problems at Ozark Corporation. And we go straight to the question 1, which is analyze the communication between the lead supervisor, Sam Case, and the new supervisor in section A, Paul Banks. So the question is, what did Sam do wrong? So the answer that I get is, Sam Case and Paul Banks both work at Ozark Corporation and Sam is the lead supervisor for both Section A and B, and Paul is the new supervisor for Section A. These two men have to communicate on a daily basis to get both of their work done. When there is a problem, Sam has to figure out how to deal with the situation. In this case, Sam asked his Section A supervisor, Paul, to take care of the problem in his section. Sam needs to communicate exactly what he wants done in the problem section to help the supervisors under him know what needs to happen. Sam should have been more specific on what needs to happen to get the work done, where if it's preventive maintenance, first then later after shift replacing and putting a new unit in. If Sam does not be specific, then Paul, the supervisor in the session, would have to guess like he did to fix the problem. So that's all from me for question 1. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Azizul bin Muhammad Jamadin. My matrix number is AA190255 and I am from section 7 group 1. So I will make a simple presentation about my part for the case study 2 communication problems at Ozark Corporation. I will answer the question for how could the problem have been prevented. In your answer, discuss the requirement for active listening. So, the answer is, in this case, we can see the problem between the lead supervisor, Sam, and the new supervisor, Paul. I think if Sam had more time to figure out the problem and communicated more clearly, the problem could have been prevented. At the same time, Paul was not able to get what Sam wanted him to do. Here, Paul could not be an active listener. Similarly, Paul did not have any idea about Sam's style of working. Paul could have asked to explain the task given to him again if he did not understand it in the first place. The problem could have been prevented by Sam giving more details on how he wants something to be done and for Paul to ask more questions on how to deal with the problem. It was hard for Paul to feel empathy for Sam because he was new here. Paul demonstrated acceptance when he went out to solve the problem without judging Sam's request. And finally, poor listening leads to assumptions and misunderstandings. This leads to errors in effective decision and or costly mistakes. On a personal level, poor listening leads to hurt feelings and a loss of team cohesion. This deteriorates trust and weakens communication even further. So that's my answer for question 2. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and hi. My name is Abdurrahman bin Ismail and my number matrix is AA190732 and I will present about question 3. Discuss the barrier to effective communication. What should Sam and Paul learn from this experience and that will make them better communicator and more effective supervisor? Perfect communication is to express a thought or idea from a sender to a recipient, such that the recipient perceives it exactly the same way as the sender pictured it. Because of a distortion or other obstacle, the purpose is almost never achieved. The barrier is effective the barrier to effective communication are we about to discuss is based on problem happen at Ozark Corporation. The most common barrier to effective communication are physical barriers. These barriers may such as outdated equipment, background noises, or poor lighting interfere the communication. Some company could have a bad communication device such as walkie-talkie. When you talk to the walkie-talkie to other person, you talk and the other person will not hear clearly because of the frequency. This will block the real information from being delivered. The other person will not understand and cause a mislead. Okay, the next barrier is attitude barriers. Attitude barriers are behavior or perception that prevent people from communicating effectively. We can say person emotion like sad, anger, and many more are really affecting their communication. When communicate to people, you should make sure your emotion is stable so that they can hear you and understand. When people sad or anger, they are likely to not fully listening to you when you try communicate. This will affect the actual emotion from be delivered to you to the other person. People are most prone to discard rational and objective thinking processes and substitute emotional judgment. If the misunderstanding happen, that person likely become more emotional and the information will not be delivered at all. The next is language. Language also a barrier to effective communication. Language may or may not be same, but even same language people have difficulty to understand each other if they are from different age group or any slang, professional jargon are included in communication. Although both parties in conversation may speak English like Ozark Corporation, some words have a differing meaning for each person and may be interpreted incorrectly. In this case, Sam might not explain clearly to Paul and what he really wants, but Paul might not fully understand the instruction. The next is psychological barrier. Psychological barrier is like poor sight, chronic difficulty, or hit ill health affect the effective. We should consider person health when try to talk to them. Sometimes people tend to hide their health condition. So when we want to talk to them, they are not listening. They're listening, but they not really get the actual information because they are trying to hide the sick. The next is problem with structure design is one of the barriers. Companies have organization structure which may not be clear and can make communication defect. Even bad information system and lack of supervision of poor training of the people are involved. We can see in the Ozark organization in Ozark is kind of messed up. It is Uncle Lee who is really in charge of the production. My friend will continue the next part.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Cik Muhammad Imran bin Cik Kumawati, matric number AA19061. So we are from group 1 from section 7. So I will continue to explain briefly for the question number 3 on the case study. So the question asks, discuss the barriers to effective communication. What should Sam and Paul learn from this experience that will make them better communicators and more effective supervisors? So I will continue to briefly explain about the discussion number 3. So our words have to be mean what they say very clear. More the weight of the meaning, more the uncertainty. If conversation takes place in progression of small chunks, there is a probability of error correction. The other option is that you listen to what other person has to say. Understand and tell your opinion, and then make sure that the speaker himself has the correct understanding. So that one of the things that will make a better communication for both parties is culture norms. People sometimes make stereotypical assumptions based on their cultural background. Other than that, Sam and Paul also can improve their lack of common experience. Sometimes lack of knowledge of the topic that being discussed or being talked to, or not having a same experience can affect the communication. So when they don't know what they're talking about, they don't have knowledge about it, it will affect the communication. It doesn't go two-way communication. Next is ambiguity and abstraction overuse. This is due to leaving things half-said. By using many proverbs or sayings can lead to unclear communication or misinteraction. They should learn to simplify in their saying or in what the topic they're talking, so there is not any information that overload and lead to many details can distract the audience from the important topic. So basically they have to talk or discuss or communication in a easier way, doesn't take the difficult one, so that is easy to understand. Next one is they should have avoid making assumptions and jumping into conclusions. This means reaching at a decision about something before listening to all the facts. They should listen all the facts before they make some decision. Last but not least, by fixing or improve all these aspects, Sam and Paul can have a better communication, and they can be more effective as supervisors. That's all from us from the Section 7 Group 1. Thank you.